Mountain Pass, right, which, as you know, from Montrose down to Durango is maybe one of the most dangerous highways in the state. And talked to a young woman there who was talking about how she lost her aunt on that pass because there still aren't guardrails and the lanes are too narrow. And so in many parts of the state, it's not just a function of the frustration of me sitting in traffic on MLK Boulevard on the way to see you this morning. It's literally a question of health and safety for folks who are driving on roads that are too dangerous. And so I think this means it's going to require some dramatic action to solve this. You've heard the identification of what the problem is. And I would say, as someone who still owns a business off of I-70, this drives our family business every day, right? Because we have more and more, not just folks who say, I'm not sure I want to have an employee I can recruit to come to Denver because she can't get to the places or the people that I'm trying to tell her are worth coming to Colorado for. But if you're in a business like ours, it's that you have folks that say, actually, you know what? We're not coming back to stay at your bed and breakfast this year because we're going to just go to Salt Lake. Because we can go to Salt Lake and it's a 30-minute drive, much easier. I don't have to navigate I-70 anymore. So you're going to see communities all across the I-70 and the I-25 corridors for whom their quality of life and the things that drive our growth, like tourism and others, are going to start declining in a significant way. To meet that $20 billion need, I think that what we're going to have is a dedicated and constant revenue stream that we can bond against. That means I've come out early and said to solve this problem, you have to go to the voters and you have to undo the morass that is Gallagher and Tabor and Amendment 23 in order to right now free up revenue streams long term to be able to fund transportation and to be able to fund education. And I think that is doable without either raising taxes or increasing tax rates. But what you can do is allow the state to do what many local municipalities have done, which is debruce those state revenues so that we have a chance to actually leverage the fastest growing economy in the country to invest in the infrastructure we need to sustain that growth. So I think that's possible, that's necessary. The next governor is going to have to lead on it, and they're going to have to go to all 64 counties to make that case, and I'm prepared to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Doug Robinson.
So by raise of hands, how many of you live outside of Metro Denver? Oh my gosh, so the majority. That's great. So I was recently in Fort Collins sitting with a group of business leaders, and they were telling me how this issue of traffic is impacting their businesses. When they, several of them have employees that travel, and when they go to DIA, they said they have to plan on 3 hours, leaving 3 hours ahead of flight time, because they don't know whether that trip is going to be 40 minutes or 2 hours. Any of you experience that same thing? And so they're either sitting in the airport wasting time or they're barely making it. So, you know, I think our government leaders sometimes feel like they have superpowers and they know exactly what is best for all of us and they seek to impose it. As a businessman, I've learned to listen to the voice of the customer. And as I've traveled this state, it is crystal clear to me what our citizens want. And these are Democrats and unaffiliated and Republicans. And I summarize it this way. They want 4 lanes from on I-25 in both directions, from Fort Collins to Colorado Springs, no tolls and no new taxes. And they want us to get it done. And we can. And we're talking about $300 million to do that, also to widen and improve our mountain access, to address the challenges on I-50 and 24 and 285. And it's going to be about $300 million that we bond against to borrow. This is what the Owens administration did. This is exactly what we need to do. It's what the voters want. We can start to solve our transportation problems if we have the leadership to get this done.
Final comments? Final comments, you've got time.
Yep. Final comments, okay. So I think we all know that commerce follows infrastructure. If we will fix this problem, we will see job creation and growth as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Carrie Kennedy.
So yes, like everyone up here, I'm hearing from businesses, from individuals all over the state, concerns about our transportation systems. Our roads are in disrepair. Today, about 40% of our lane miles are rated in poor condition. We have tremendous traffic. We're all sitting in it, and a lack of investment in the kind of public transit options that would help move people, not just move cars. And the challenge that we have here in Colorado is our major funding source for transportation, which is the fuel tax, has been eroding in our state for 30 years, ever since the Tabor Amendment passed. In fact, the revenues that we have today at the state to make the investments that we need to make to keep up with the demands of a growing economy, we have half the purchasing power in our revenues, our transportation revenues, that we had the day Tabor passed. That is the great challenge that we all face. And I have called for permanent Tabor reform my entire career, as I helped lead the only 2 successful statewide measures that have mitigated Tabor's impacts. And as governor, I will lead a broad bipartisan coalition, like we did in 2005, to pass permanent Tabor reform so that we can adequately invest in our transportation systems. I have helped finance billions of dollars of infrastructure here in Colorado, including road and bridge repairs throughout our state. And this is the leadership that I will bring to make sure that we have a structure in our state that enables us to make the investments in transportation that will support the demands of our growing economy, not just here in the Front Range, but statewide. We need to make investments that modernize our transportation networks, that enable us to support rail, high-speed passenger rail, commuter rail, buses, bikes, van pools, on-demand ride shares, all the different mobility options that will enable our economy to continue to prosper in the years ahead.
Thank you, Carrie. We're going to keep the microphone with you. We got a few-minute late start, but I'm very happy to report that we're running great on time with an end in the next half an hour. So we're going to go with an unscripted question. Now, staffers, don't panic. This is just meant to be fun, okay? So we're going to go 1 minute, rapid fire. This is a fun question. And the design of this question when we put it together was to just really understand each candidate's personality. In our election process, there's a lot of scripting, and so hopefully this will be a little bit fun. So tell us, each candidate, why you love Colorado, or share with us a favorite activity that you like to do in the state of Colorado. Carrie Kennedy.
Well, I love Colorado because it's the most beautiful place on the face of the earth. Love growing up here, love raising my children here, and the people here are spectacular. As you all know, this is one of the friendliest places and generous places that any of us will ever know. My favorite activity, skiing. I'm a big skier. I have to say there's probably nothing I enjoy more than chasing my 2 teenagers down the slope. I have decided that one of my goals is to be able to try to keep up with them. It gets harder every single year, but I am pushing my campaign team to have part of the outreach strategy for my campaign for governor to be to ski every single area in the state. Help support that outdoor recreation economy. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Carrie. Doug Robinson.
Maybe we should have a ski race between the candidates. That would be that would be fun. My wife Diane and I moved here 22 years ago from New York. We've raised our 5 children here. What I love about Colorado is in New York, when you meet somebody in a bar or for the first time, they ask you, what do you do? And what they mean by that is, what's your job? Where, and so on. You move to Colorado and you get that same question, what do you do? And moving here, I started to answer it. I'm in the financial services field. And no, what do you do? What they mean is, do you ski? Do you bike? Do you ride? Do you run? And that's what I love about Colorado. And so that leads to my favorite activity. My wife and I love hiking the steps and running at Red Rocks. And we have a small Shiba Inu dog that we take with us. And we love, come see us most Sunday afternoons. We're up there around Red Rocks trying to get some exercise and enjoying the beauty that is Colorado.
Thanks, Doug. Mike Johnston.
So I have 3 young kids. I have twin boys who are 10 and a little girl that is 6, and they specialize in football, snakes, and princesses. So I would say most of my spare time I coach my son's flag football team. Rough year last year, we were 2-8. I almost got fired, but the general manager is my wife, so I think I can get a 1-year extension. I do a lot of snake hunting with my son, so I have a lot of photos of me holding small gardener snakes all around the state. And then a lot of hide and seek with my 6-year-old daughter, which is a lot of fun as well.
Thanks, Mike. Victor Mitchell.
Well, our family loves to hike and ski. Our favorite hiking trail is actually near Silverthorne, not far from you, Mike, and it has a waterfall. It's kind of a secluded place. We usually take our 2 golden retrievers out there off leash. It's one of our favorite activities. I also love to play tennis, although I love tennis much more than it loves me. So it's just one of those unfortunate things. But no, we love many outdoor activities. My wife is from Northern Ireland, and she does Irish step dancing. And so gives you a little bit of background. We actually have 3 kids, and our 3 kids are also different than one another. You guys probably can relate to the same thing. So it's a lot of fun, but Colorado is the greatest people in the world. I had a difficult childhood growing up, so we moved almost every few months, and this is the longest I've ever lived in any one place, and I can tell you it's our forever home.
Thanks, Victor. Cynthia?
So my plan when I moved to Colorado about 21 years ago was that I was going to own a ranch, I was going to have horses, and there was going to be a landing strip because I was going to get my pilot's license. Now, none of that has happened yet, but as I travel on the campaign trail, I am looking for, where to put my stake in the ground and do those things someday in my fantasy world. In the meantime, campaigning isn't half bad. And I have tried to convince my campaign staff that when we travel around the state in the car, that it's really like a family road trip. And complete with stops, for snacks and tourist activities. What I value the most about Colorado, though, is the people and the pleasure of stopping in places and just visiting with people and hearing about their lives and their stories and what brought them here and what's important to them. It's an incredible education, and I do love this state.
Thanks, Cynthia. Donna Lynn?
Oh, Colorado is just a great community, and I mean that in a way that really is inspirational to me and has made me want to give back to the state. I actually